Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship, what a season. Phenomenal. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to WOR, World Online Racing, and I am back once again. I missed a cracker last week, though. We are here at Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by the man next to me. It's Ginger Andy. Andy, how you doing, sir?
George, you're absolutely right. You did miss a cracker last week. A shock result as Tom Martinez, rises above the tag of being a content creator and took it to the esports drivers. George, we've seen it in Squad Sprint. He took it to them there. He took it to them again last week and provided us with a fantastic result and a fantastic story as well. A great win for him. Let's see what he can do this week as well. It's going to be a cracker. Really looking forward to it, George. Can Jake Benham go and extend that Champions League championship lead a little bit further? We'll have to wait and see. It's bound to be a cracker. And by the way, George, unlike Spa a few weeks ago, we have got a serious race to try and follow up from, because that was wild today in real life Formula 1, wasn't it?
It was absolutely electrifying. Obviously, the Italian Grand Prix that we saw in that event as well. And then we had the Belgian Grand Prix, of course, weeks previous, where the rain pretty much took any chance of a race in the real life of Formula 1. But we're back here anyway. And yeah, like you say, obviously the hottest ticket in town was the Italian Grand Prix only moments ago. Of course, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton coming together and creating some really hefty drama in that epic fight for the championship. We're coming here tonight to Spielberg. Obviously, the A1 ring as it's formerly known, the Österreich ring as well. It's now known as the Red Bull ring. And we are here about to shuffle our way through so many notable corners around this track. Obviously, the main one being Schloss Gold, coming out of Remus at the top of turn 3. You head down that back straight, down through towards turn 4, where, of course, the likes of Lando Norris has had a little bit of a rough moment there. Alex Albon, of course, collided with Lewis Hamilton there when he was in the Red Bull. But this circuit, let's talk about it. 10 corners here at this track, 4.31k kilometers, that is 2.683 miles. Certainly favors a pretty fast setup. Straight line speeds are beneficial, but those tricky corners at turns 3 and turns 4, they can cause a few problems, Andy.
Yeah, one of two tracks, George, on the Formula 1 calendar, done in under 70 seconds. Like Brazil, Austria, a really short racetrack, and expect a lot of tight times in qualifying. It will be very close as we make our way through Q1, Q2 and Q3. Very fine margins. Are usually fine at the best of times, even on long circuits like Spa and, Singapore, but even more so today. It's going to be really, really exciting. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. You can make a move into turn 1 if you want, but you're better waiting to climb up the hill through turn 2, which isn't really a corner, and up to the braking point at turn 3. You can make a move there. Again, if you fail to do so, you can, run down towards turn 4, make a move there as well, and then you've got the technical middle sector of the lap that really does separate the men from the boys through 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. A few fantastic corners, where you really need to have confidence in your car. And it doesn't stop there. Right down to the end of the lap, the two final right-handers, turns 9 and 10, real cracking corners. And you need to be careful about your track limits through those last couple of corners. Could easily invalidate a lap in qualifying. And accumulation of a few corner cutting there in the race could lead to a few time penalties, George. So a challenging track, despite being a short one. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it should be very interesting, very close as well. We're looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do. Naturally, let's have a look at the standings, though. These are the current driver standings. Jake Benham currently locked at the top with 70 points to his name and comfortably ahead as well. 17 points the difference between him and Shanaka Clay with a 3-point gap to Alvaro Caraton. Unfortunately, we have had to say goodbye to a few of the big names, at least for now. Obviously, esports currently primed and lots of them preparing for that as well. Thyman Shooter being one of those as well. We have got the likes of Valentin Bruffair. Tom Martinez, after his absolutely sensational win last week, is now back yet again. Looking to follow up. Can he make it a 2 from 2? It can happen. We'll have to wait and see. Dario Yamulo there on 20 points with Samuel Bean in 14-point territory with Ruben Pedreño 14 points and Andreas Dormeyer 13 points. But currently, it's Jake Benham's championship at the moment, Tom. He's looking very, very solid right now.
Yeah, he's looking very good. With Alvaro Caraton pulling out last week, and so far I don't see him in here tonight. It's a great opportunity for him to pull clear, and he did so last week with that in second place. Shanaka Clay moving up into that second place as a result now, George. The championship looking very interesting, but at the minute, you got to say Jake Benham in control, especially with no sign of Alvaro Caraton tonight. I'm looking through the lobby again, and I don't really see him in here, so it's going to be a good night for Jake Benham, you would think, tonight. Probably goes in here as one of the favourites for it around this Austrian track here in the Styrian Mountains. And yeah, it's looking really good, George. Looking forward to it tonight. A championship battle hotting up, and Jake Benham sees an opportunity to try and pull clear, and I'm sure that's what will be at the top of his mind tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you look at the grid order that we have got here today, folks, obviously it looks like it's going to be one of the tightest races we've probably seen this season. Obviously, Jake Benham currently leading the charge. He, of course, driving his usual Mercedes AMG Petronas car. We've got replacements at Williams. We've got Ruben Pedreño stepping in, as well as Dylan Warren, two very tenacious characters, two youngsters looking to really prove themselves. Ruben Pedreño, very excited to be hitting this circuit tonight here at Tier 1 Racing, here at World Online Racing. Chana Kinchi is here as well in Alpine, with Luke Smith taking the helm at Alfa Romeo, with VRT Josh as well joining Jake Benham in the Mercedes. Tom Martinez, of course, loads of you will know him as Tom97, the Veloce YouTuber, of course, who took victory last week. He is donning the Ferrari of, well, the usually drivers, of course. Looking further down, you got OMG's Joe Hannon driving the AlphaTauri, with Jeffrey Ritchie in the McLaren, as well as Thomas Harvey. Some of you may remember Thomas Harvey as well, one of the other tenacious characters that we've seen. He's always up there for a fight, tends to like a reverse strategy, so keep an eye on him. Also, Lenny Papinta as well, with Hawk as well. Certainly John is looking to try. Johnny Evans trying to make his mark here in this league as well. Has got a little bit of work to do, but he does like a scrap. In behind as well, JST also joining us on the lobby here today, with Felipe Souza, one of the characters that is really starting to improve over the last couple of game cycles. Certainly Felipe Souza is one of those, and he will be in the McLaren tonight. Christian Sendel, another big name to look out for, obviously really trying to push his way through the tiers in all of league racing. He certainly looks like a driver with a huge future ahead of him. He is going to be in the Alfa Romeo as well, with Nomzi as well, his fellow Shazoo racing partner, who's in the Alpine car actually on this occasion, with QVR Cookie. Now, you remember QVR Cookie from before, Andy? Suzuka, that's all I'm going to say. That pole lap was incredible, just couldn't hook it up in the race.
Yeah, it was a great pole lap, wasn't it? It caught us all by surprise, in similar fashion to what we saw from Tom Martinez last week, actually. Out of nowhere, didn't expect it, bang. He stuck it on pole. Tom won the race, of course, last week. Cookie back in Suzuka on pole. But yeah, he was leading that race early on, and had a bit of a moment through the S's, had a spin, round he went, and into the gravel trap, and his hopes and dreams of pulling off a shock result faded. But, he's back again. He's hungry for more. And who knows, maybe here in Austria, this could be his race. Maybe this is his chance at redemption. Redemption Day, as Daniel Ricciardo would call it.
Yeah,
that's fitting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is very fitting after Daniel Ricciardo took the race win today at Monza, of course. And what a turnout for the books that was. A McLaren 1-2, a McLaren lockout at the top order. Absolutely incredible. I have to say, folks, as well, thank you all so much for joining us here today. Obviously, please leave your comments in the live chat. I can already see plenty of names here. Jess Games, WR Sim, Jake Benham, of course, who's racing here tonight. Ryan Morningstar, as well as GABZ said. Sorry, I can't pronounce that if that is a word there, of course, but hello anyway. Also, James Locker, good evening to yourself as well, sir. Please hammer that live chat, folks. We want to hear from you and your thoughts as we make our way through the qualifying sessions and also the race as well. We want to hear who are you cheering on? Who do you think is going to come out on top here tonight? Is it going to be Jake Benham again? Or could we see Tom Martinez provide another shock and actually prevail here at this circuit? I can see here, Jess Game saying, hoping for another good result from Tom Martinez here today. Certainly, I think plenty, and I'm sure his fans are looking forward to seeing what he can do in this race. You've got to say, looking at Canada, Andy, similar circuit in its own right, it's fairly quick. Austria, pretty quick as well. This could suit Tom.
It could suit him. Well, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I think he really enjoyed the wet conditions last week. So if you get a sprinkling of rain at some point, he will be really fancying it. He saw the weather in qualifying last week. Obviously, it was dry in qualifying. He saw the weather coming in the race and he thought, okay, I'm going to stick a bit of a wet setup on here. I think he had more of a wet setup than some of the other guys around him, which certainly helped him somewhat, but that's not me taking anything away from him. He made that right decision and he drove a superb race to go drive past Jake Benham. So, you know, he did well last week. Let's see what happens this week, George. We are on 19 drivers at the minute, and as I say that, Antoine Desaluski is about to join. He just came online, so he is the reason for that slight delay, but we do plan on having him joining the session in Q1. So we will have 20 drivers attacking this Austrian circuit this evening, and I'm really looking forward to it, George. Early days in qualifying. Let's see who the first man out is going to be on track to challenge this short circuit, one of the shortest on the Formula 1 calendar. It's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, certainly is. You can see the timer already ticking down here for Q1 as we wait for the cars to exit the garage. Obviously no activity just yet, a lot of them being patient. Maybe they're checking the weather as we see some activity coming out of the Haas garage. And indeed we have got one driver leaving the bay. Let's take a look at who that could be. Could be Floris Viers. Is it QVR Cookie? We'll soon be able to bring you all the skinny. It is going to be Floris Viers here today, folks. Just want to say a big thank you to S-Jack as well. Hello. Welcome to the broadcast. Racing Stein as well. Hello to you too, sir. Rafiki, we can finally see F1 2021 is realistic after the crash today. Very, very, yeah, absolutely. I think that did tickle a few of the minds of a few of the spectators here today. James Kilby, hello. Welcome. And a big thank you as well to WR Sim. Great commentary as always. Well, thank you, good sir, as we're now watching Floris Viers now head down towards the Slosh Gold Benz. Now, Floris Viers, Dutchman, has appeared in F1 Esports in the past, actually drove for Haas previously alongside Cedric Tomei and Simon Weigang, but has been out of sorts roughly over the last game cycle or so, but definitely showing some signs of improvement here, Andy.
Yeah, well, I've known Floris for a long time, actually. He's always been a very quick driver. He's certainly got the capability in him to fight towards the front. And he is a really aggressive driver. He actually reminds me a little bit of Max Verstappen. He likes to get the elbows out and really fight hard for every position, tooth and nail. So, you know, it can be quite entertaining to watch as a commentator or as a neutral watching in the chat. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do this afternoon, George. Really looking forward to it as he heads out there on the first flying lap of the afternoon. And can we really call it a flying lap? Not really, because he is, of course, on the intermediate tyres. And the reason for that is all the drivers want to save up all the tyres they can for later on in qualifying. Inters for now, and at the end of the session we will see the soft tyres on. But I just want to say, George, you know, they always say sport and politics don't mix. They have this week, haven't they? With the release of Nigel Farage having a right good go at the F1 league racing scene. Hopefully tonight we won't have any glitches or issues for Nigel to come flying back and have another go at the Formula 1 game.
No, not at all. Absolutely. It was a very, very interesting moment. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like it before, but nevertheless, it did make the headlines, and certainly when it comes to LRN is concerned, and naturally, of course, Twitter. But here we are, nevertheless, here for esports here at WOR, and I have to say, hopefully we can write maybe some new stories in the book that is F1 League Racing. Hopefully some positive ones as well. Antoine Desaluski now joining the grid of 20. He is going to be donning the Aston Martin, of course. We have not got our usual members there as Floris Viers sets the first time. Remember, that is, of course, on the intermediate tyres, and that is the reasoning why the time is a 1:11.354, just getting the banker lap in. Conserving a set of tyres as well. We can already see that a couple are donning the softs. One of them is actually out on track, and that's that man, Jeffrey Ritchie, in the McLaren, Andy.
Yeah, let's see if we can pick him up then, out there on the soft compound tyre and that McLaren, and he's about to start a flying lap then. So let's take a little lap on board then with the McLaren driver as he approaches that uphill climb into turn 1. You can brake a lot later due to that uphill climb. It really does help the car going in there. Open up the DRS and then head down what you could call a straight. And as I say that, he's backed out the lap. And oh, that's a shame, George. I was just about to get right into that one there. But yeah, turn 1 and up here at turn 3 to the top overtaking spots on this racetrack. So Jeffrey Ritchie, let's see what he can do this afternoon. One of the first drivers out there, George, to stick a set of soft tyres on, and let's see what the early lap times will be. And of course, as always, we like to do it, George, give ourselves a little prediction of where the cut-off will be to get into the top 15 and into Q2.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to take a look as the session draws onwards. But naturally, Christian Sendel currently nailing the top spot at the moment, albeit on intermediate tyres. A fairly consistent view that we are obviously getting. Certainly when it comes to qualifying, Cookie is actually retired from the session. Is that an incident there, Andy?
Oh, Cookie, let's have a look then. What has happened to Cookie? Where is he on the racetrack? Where has he stopped, George? I'm not too sure if he's retired or what. Maybe he has at the moment out there on the intermediate tyre. And that's a shame for him, George, because as we touched on at the top of the show, he was one of the drivers that we would like to have seen have a second bite at the cherry after that pole position lap we saw way back in Suzuka. And, well, getting a second chance in the top tier, his session has ended a little bit prematurely. I'm not too sure why that is or what's happened. I never saw it on the screen, George, and I take it you didn't either. So maybe someone in the chat, if Cookie's streaming, can let us know, because we appear to have missed that one. But it's a shame, nonetheless. Cookie out of qualifying.
Yeah, and he always tends to be a good qualifier as well. Qualifying is actually his main routine, I think, certainly when it comes to league racing. Big shame to lose him. Jake Benham crossing the line and sets a 129.825 on intermediate tyres. Obviously, the early enters are starting to come into effect now. Flores Fierce just literally set down a set of softs as well. He has yet to go out on a lap on them, but he has put them on nevertheless. Happy with the initial lap that he has sent in the intermediate tyres. Obviously, that installation lap that they all like to do. But the leader currently, Jeffrey Ritchie, and he is the only man to set a proper time out on soft tyres, albeit though not that much quicker than those on the inters. Nomsy in behind as well on a 110.999 and a 110.919 for Jeffrey Ritchie. Both of them within the same tenth of a second, as now we're seeing Jeffrey Ritchie come across the line yet again. I'm wondering if a couple of the drivers may be struggling maybe with track limits. It is a consistent feature. We get an Austria, Andy. Certainly turn 1 can be a bit precarious, and not to mention coming out of Slosh Gold and the ring curve. It can be very testing around those bends.
Yeah, it can be, George. It certainly can be, because, you know, you're approaching some of these corners at quite a high speed, turn 1 being one of them, through 6, 7 and 8. At 9 and 10 for me, George, probably the two corners I would say you're most likely to pick up a time penalty or a track invalidation. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near as bad as the likes of Canada or Australia, for example, Mexico, where you've got really high speed corners and chicanes that can really catch you out. So I think the drivers, you know, will be happy to be here as opposed to in Canada for that, from that point of view. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, as Jeffrey Ritchie is 100% going to go quickest of all here. The first man on a decent lap here on a set of soft tyres. Let's see what he can do through the final couple of corners. And as you can see, with the speed he carries through those final couple of corners, how easy it is to go a little bit wide and cut the corner. Really on the limit through that final corner. Pushing hard, and it's a 102.9, but he's actually went and invalidated it somewhere out there. So there you go, easily done. I didn't actually catch where he did it, but he did invalidate.
Yeah, no, he certainly did. No time registered, and not the ideal start for Jeffrey Ritchie. And Jake Benham has actually trucked him on a set of intermediate tyres as well. But we can already see that Felipe Souza is out on track 2. And he's about to commence his hot lap now. So let's ride on board here with Felipe Souza as he now makes his way around turn 1, of course, hitting that first apex. Very, very clean indeed. Now powering up towards turn 3. That, of course, that first corner, Nicky Lauda curve, he's now going to head straight up the hill. The high elevation section up towards Remus now as he takes a lot of the curve on the inset. On the outset, takes a lot of the curve, cutting inwards now across the DRS line. Lenny Papinta giving him a little bit of breathing space, allowing him to trip his way down towards Slosh Gold now. And he will hug a lot on the inside as well. Yellow flags in sector 2. They won't concern him. That might actually be Lenny Papinta as they now make their way down out of Slosh Gold, heading into the next left, heading out of Roche Curve. And this one you want to hug the inside line, feather the throttle, power down now. This little straight into the Berth curve where you can just progressively push this car through this next left-hander now, powering towards the ring now, underneath the Emirates banner, down through towards the next right. This is where you could easily lose it on track limits. Very nicely done from Felipe Souza. Can he land a huge blow here at the top of the classifications? A little invalidation there, Andy.
Yeah, a little invalidation, just pushing a little bit too hard through those final couple of corners, I believe. And that's what we said, isn't it, Josh? They're the two corners that can hurt you the most round here. And the most frustrating thing for the drivers is, you know, you've built up a great lap, you've right up to the final couple of corners, and then that's where all the pressure is. You know, you feel like you've done a great lap. How do you approach it? Do you play a conservative game? Do you just stick with what you've got, don't take any risks, and just leave a tenth or two on the table? Is that what you do? Or do you just go for it and risk losing the whole lap altogether? Because you don't have many tyres in this session, and that's what can happen. And similarly at Canada, last week, the final chicane, where the Wall of Champions sits, you can do a great lap there, and then throw everything at the final couple of corners there, you can throw the whole lap away. Sometimes you're maybe better, especially at this stage of qualifying, to get your eye in and just leave a couple of tenths on the table.
Absolutely. Well, Chanakinchi sets the first flying lap on soft tyres, a 102.513, and that's more like it, he says. And goes an easy 8 seconds clear of Jake Benham, who set his time on intermediate. So excellent showing from Chanakinchi in the Alpine as well. Very, very strong character in league racing as well. I remember him in PSGL last season at the top tier, where he was laying down the hammer against the likes of Danny Moreno, Jarno Opmeer, and many of the others as well that topped the billing in the world of esports. So great to see Chanakinchi here nailing in some great lap times as well. I've said it again, arguably, despite there not being so many esports drivers taking part in this tier, that allows a lot of the field to come and draw closer, Andy, and we get to see perhaps more closer action than what we would have seen before.
Yeah, perhaps you're right, George. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But just on Chanakinchi, he didn't have the greatest of races last week, but in qualifying he was much better than what he'd been up to this point, getting himself straight through and into Q3, so he'll be looking to try and do the same thing again, and that's a good way to start his weekend here in Austria, putting himself to the top of his timing sheets nice and early. And with 7 minutes to go, we're starting to see some serious lap times being posted. And here we've got Nomsey going into the final corner. He's not on a really quick lap. He was on one. He's invalidated it, and he stays P11. Who else we got out there, George? Let's see. Luke Smith, currently 13th at the minute. And with that 1:11.7 yet to post a representative time. We've only got 8 drivers with a representative time so far. And have we lost Jake Benham from this session? Why is he greyed out?
That is interesting. Obviously, the first time we've seen that from Jake Benham. We lost Cookie earlier on. I hope that is not a terminal issue. But we will keep you posted, folks. That is not a good sign. Jake Benham not featuring now in qualifying. We hope that this isn't going to be springing upon any more surprises upon us, certainly heading into this next session. But now we're currently watching Luke Smith head around the next right-hander in the Alfa Romeo. And as he does so, big chance here for this man to certainly land a big blow here upon this classification. Luke Smith up into the top 10, a P7 time of a 102.890. Not bad at all. Plenty more to gain, though, with currently Chanakinchi still leading the charge. Nearly a tenth of a second clear of Floris Fiers.
Yeah, and that's quite a lot round this track. You'll soon find out about that later on, folks. If you're not aware of that, as Nomsey now on the second attempt is going to go to the line. What does he do? He goes 10th and is the slowest of all the drivers to do a genuine lap so far. OMG, it's Joe is out there, and we know this man can go very, very quick when he's got his head in the game, and he's making his way through that second sector now, and he's purple through there according to our timing screens as he now makes his way towards turns 9 and 10. Through turn 9, which is of course the Rent Corner, named after the 1970 world champion, the only driver to ever win a championship while not being alive. A tragic situation for Joachim Rindt, as OMG's Joe goes 8th quickest. Yeah, Joachim Rindt winning the title, having passed away tragically in a previous Grand Prix, the only driver to have ever done that.
Absolutely, big shame for Joachim Rindt, and no doubt a very heartbreaking story. Fortunately enough, the safety in Formula 1 has greatly and vastly improved. Obviously, we witnessed the halo now come into effect, which I've got to say has made a huge, stark difference where it comes to...
today.
Well, absolutely. We saw it with Lewis Hamilton very, very earlier on, obviously with the collision with Max Verstappen. But here comes Lewis Welch now in the Ferrari. Can he do something here? The man on the pad, who I have to say has been phenomenal in recent seasons, comes across the line. P2 is what he gets with a 102.600 and parks his Ferrari alongside the Alpine of Chanakinchi. But obviously Q1 still early doors. Still got over 4.5 minutes left, but a great sign from the pad man extraordinaire, Lewis Welch.
Yeah. You've got to say, George, you know, I'm supposed to be neutral. We're all supposed to be neutral in the commentary box, but I've got no shame in saying it. I've got a soft spot for Louis Welsh. He's the pad god. He really is. It's all against him. He's right up against it with so many drivers out there on wheels, and there he goes, straight up into second place, defining You know, just showing how good he can be. It's absolutely magnificent. Here comes HX4K around the final couple of corners, currently 17th. One of a few drivers not to do a proper lap just yet. This is looking very good. It is going to be enough to put him into 4th position with 4 minutes to go in qualifying. Hawk, looking good.
Yep, John Evans posting a decent time of 102.667. And that plonks him nearly 0.2 of a second slower than Chanakinchi. But good showing indeed from the man in the Red Bull, top 4. And that's a good place to be. Would qualify for the Champions League if we were talking football. So credit to him on that one. OMG is Joe is another one who's out on a lap time too, making his way down through towards the next right. AlphaTauri, of course, losing out 2 of their drivers at Monza today. Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda both losing out in that race today. As now we watch Joe Hannon power through down the long straight and losing a little bit of time there. I'm not sure quite what happened, but he's in P11 nevertheless and making his way around about turn 1. Big chance for Joe Hannon, and I know you've commentated on him in the past, Andy. He is a very, very feisty, tenacious character out on track.
Yeah, he's very, very good, George, and I don't think you'll mind me saying this. You know, I like to be straight to the point. I don't think he's fulfilled his potential. I really don't think so. I think he's can do a lot better than what he's achieved up to this point. I mean, I've seen him back on F1 2019 and 2018 on the Xbox, and he was taking it to the likes of Veloci Surprise, and since then I've just not seen him at his brilliant best, and I hope we can get that from him soon again, because I do believe he's got more in him. I really think that, George, and hopefully we can see the best of OMG Joe tonight.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Lenny Papinter is another one who's looking to show his true colours as well. P6 at the moment, a very respectable start from the Aston Martin driver, now heading around Slosh Gold, heading into a tighter line, heading into that curve. Certainly that's the line you want to hold as he now powers his way through towards the Roche Bend now, hugging the inset once again, feathering the throttle as I said previously, heading into the next left this time at Firth Curve, and he's going to make his way over the bends. A little mistake though, and that's him on a slow lap. Not good at all from Lenny Papinter, and this is where the pressure gets to you with all the cars now out on hot laps. It's crunch time, Andy. Only a minute or so to go.
Yeah, a minute or so to go. Anyone on a 1 minute 2.7 or lower should be a little bit concerned, I would say. I know there's quite a few on that marker at the minute, and of course we've already lost Cookie and Benham, so it might be a 0.8. We'll have to wait and see what it ends up being. I'm just watching Flores Fierce complete this lap, and then I think we will have to focus ourselves on what's going on at the bottom of the order. I think you've got Josh at the minute. Where's he going to go? He's just starting one, George, is he? But here comes Flores Fierce round the final corner, looking very handy out there. Where's it going to put him? He stays third quickest. But what do we think? Maybe 102.8 perhaps? 102.7 I would say. We'll be safe. We'll have to wait and see.
We certainly will. All the cars now out on lap times as well. This other man as well who's out and about is Tom Martinez, who has already gone quicker in Sector 2, and he's now flying through the final corner. Let's see what this man can do. In comes Tom Martinez. What can he land? An 8th place finish of a 102.692. Not bad at all. Top 10 for the man, Tom 97. And you'd be pleased with that one there. Certainly, Andy.
Yeah, he will be. I've got to say, that a great lap from Nomsy as well. He was in the drop zone too. He's gone second. It's now a 1-2 for the two Alpines. Luke Smith coming round the final corner. Needs a big lap to lift him out, and he does so. He goes 8th quickest then. And now Jeffrey Ritchie is in real trouble. OMG's Joe is out of qualifying in 15th. Well, he's not out of qualifying yet, but he could be very, very soon if Jeffrey Ritchie or Jay can topple him. Jay's invalidated this latest lap, so it's all on Jeffrey Ritchie and Josh as well. And Josh is backed out, so it's all about Jeffrey Ritchie. He could knock Joe out of qualifying.
No, he could not indeed. The McLaren now flying through the next left. Once again here at Roche Curve. What can Jeffrey Ritchie do? He now heads around Verth. This is so important. Minutes now are ticking into seconds here at the end of qualifying, and that's it. We're into stoppage time. Only 3 minutes remaining in injury time here in Q1. Flies around the ring curve now, around the Red Bull Mobile. Oh, he's gone slightly wide there. Will the lap count? Comes across the line. No, he can't get out. He can't get out, Andy. A 102.853 cannot get him out of Q1.
And we were right, a 102.7 was indeed the cut-off, and OMG is Joe with the slowest of those 102.7s, survives by the skin of his teeth. I wonder, was Jeffrey Ritchie going quick enough through the first two sectors, and maybe he just threw caution to the wind in the last couple of corners, invalidated the lap, and the chance was gone. He's out, joined by Jay, and surprisingly Jake Benham, Cookie, and Josh as well. Both Mercedes out in Q1.
It might not be over yet, Andy.
What a surprise.
It might not be over yet. JST now making his way through the final corner. Oh no! Oh dear! Around the final corner, smashed it into the wall. He was pushing like crazy, but could not pull it off. And that is a huge blow for JST, who literally was absolutely flying around towards the final sector. His best time at 102.902. And that is how it will remain. Heartbreak here at Austria. And he is going to be out as we head into the Q2 of qualifying.
Well, I'm glad he did that, because that spared my blushes. No, what a shame for him. I didn't even see that, George. That's my mistake. But in the end, OMG's Joe does survive then, and his teammate crashes out, meaning that OMG's Joe does indeed make it through. And, well, the big surprise, Jake Benham missing out. Not too sure why or what caused it, but he is out of qualifying. But look at the Alpines, 1 and 2, looking very strong, George.
Yeah, very good news for Chanakinchi. Welcome to the top end. Good set. Nails P1 there with a 102.513. Nomsy in behind as well in P2. Lewis Welch in P3 as well. Floris Viers P4. Antoine Desalewski 5th with John Evans in P6. Lenny Papinta is there as well. But just going to have a quick look at the eliminations. Jeffrey Ritchie, GST, Jake Benham, Cookie and Josh all out of qualifying. But incredible indeed. Incredible action from everyone in qualifying. Q1 getting off to a real firecracker start. Usually we see everything coming out, I suppose, in tandem. Generally, everyone goes out on intermediate tyres, and then they all tend to... It tends to all happen in a rhythmic fashion. You tend to get the intermediate tyres out first, then heading into the softer compounds. But it was a bit of a mishmash here today, Andy. Not everyone conforming to that routine in qualifying. We saw a couple of guys nailing out on the soft straight away. Not any of them really wanting to take the... I suppose the patience of the intermediate tyre from the get-go. It's amazing to see the contrast of styles that we have in qualifying in this division of drivers.
Yeah, well, I noticed both McLarens were quite early out, weren't they? Maybe trying to get their eye in. Because, you know, when you've only got 7 or 8 minutes to go and then you're starting to do the lap, George, if you invalidate, and it's so easy to do, as we touched on, especially in the last couple of corners, you've got to go around the whole entire track again. You're past the pit lane. So you invalidate before that, yeah, you can come in, stick another set on. If you invalidate in turns 9 or 10, that's it. You've got to go around all the way again and come back out onto the track and go again. And by that time, the time's ticked away even further. So maybe that was a factor for some of the drivers out there. And they thought, no, let's get out there, let's get a banker in, and no messing around. Make sure we get ourselves through to Q2 and worry about the tyre situation later on. But here we are, Q2, here we go. And I've got to say, George, it's wide open. Jake Benham out in Q1.
It certainly is. That is an absolutely massive occurrence heading into the race. Obviously, Jay Benham planning to try and get something done right from the early goings at the end of the... well, certainly at the end of Q1. Obviously, retiring from the session. He's quite happy to take an elimination. Not quite sure what the scenario is behind that, but it will be spectacular if he can pull it off. Dylan Warren is the first out onto the track here in Q2, donning those green intermediate tyres. Interesting time to bring them out. Not often we see them in Q2, to say the least, but nevertheless, that's his decision. Not donning certainly anything of the slick compound. In behind there you can see Felipe Souza and OMG It's Joe as well, making their way out onto the circuit, heading around the next left now through Roche Bend and Verth Curve. This is the moments where the quiet before the storm, shall we say. But this is a very important session, Andy, as we say week in, week out. These are the tyres that the top 10 in Q3 will start on heading into the race. So very important you get this session absolutely right.
Yeah, it's very important and extremely interesting as well for us viewers to try and figure out what everybody out there is thinking. And quite a few of them on the mediums, albeit in the pit lane at the minute. Only Lenny Papinta out there at the minute on the track on a set of medium tyres. You've got Ruben Pedreño, Luke Smith, Lenny, as we touched on, Chanakinchi, Floris Viers, Nomsy, and of course John Evans as well on the mediums in the pit lane, just waiting it out to see what everyone else is planning to do. But the likes of Louis Welsh not hanging around out there in a set of softs. Felipe Souza, OMG It's Joe, let's see what they can do. And a few of them, I believe, have started a flying lap, but I think OMG It's Joe and Felipe Souza have already invalidated their lap, so that's not ideal.
Yeah, they have indeed. I think turn 1 was the unfortunate corner, and they gave them both invalidations. Not ideal at all, but already we can see quite a few cars out on outlaps. Being one of them is Lewis Welch, Nomsy as well, who electrified Q1, of course, getting his car into second place. Alpine topping the two places in Q1, which is absolutely spectacular. Obviously, you wouldn't expect anything less from Chanakinchi, one of the big improvers in the world of league racing. I think that was Dylan Warren actually went off the track there and he's taken a very interesting line, has decided to cut the bend at Roche Curve on the intermediate tyres. Wouldn't obviously advise that very often, but nevertheless, he's making his way out and about. Lewis Welch, though, currently out on a time now, so we'll stay on board with the pad man and see if he can electrify us with a very quick lap time himself as he heads through into the Roche bend now. This next left-hander now feathering the throttle still, and as you can see, so tricky on this circuit with that pad system. Naturally, this is where we talk about the technical standards between the wheel and the pad, of course. Obviously, with the wheel, you have total feel, total control, and Lewis Welch, you have to give him credit. His challenge is probably greater given the use of the pad as he comes across the line. No lap time set just then. I think that might be an invalidation again as Lenny Papinta gets the first time underway, Andy.
First time on the board, it's a 102.9. Decent effort on the medium compound tyre from Lenny Papinta. So that's the marker that's been set for everyone else. Nomsy, of course, who was second behind his teammate Janakenshi in Q1. He's the next one, I think, out there on medium tyres that's going to post a lap time. So let's see how it matches up to the time we've seen from Lenny Papinta in the Aston Martin. So Nomsy then making his way towards the final couple of corners, flinging it into turn 9, and then the final corner of turn 10. Don't extend on exit. He doesn't. Heads for the line. What's it going to be? It's a 102.9, matching that of Lenny Papinta, half a tenth shy. Very, very tight between those two.
Yeah, very impressive from Lenny Papinta to do what he's done. Another man who's coming through as well is Thomas Harvey in the Red Bull as well. Another character I've really looked forward to watching, or really enjoyed watching, should I say, and seeing race in this series. It's been absolutely tremendous. Luke Smith, brilliant, getting himself up to the top spot and hammering down by a couple of hundredths of a second. Incredible stuff indeed from Luke Smith, and that's what you want to see. Thomas Harvey bailing into the pit lane, not happy with the lap set. Another man who's out on a lap time as well is young Ruben Pedreño in the Williams too. So of course, it'd be great to see Ruben Pedreño firing on all cylinders. Came into the fray as well last season in PSGL. Saw him run in a few races. Certainly a huge prospect for the future as well, and known to be very, very racy on his day. Again, another big improver, and that's the great thing about league racing, Andy. We get to see all these drivers making their mark, going up tiers and trying their hand against the best drivers in the business. And that's exactly what we want to see, isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've got to say, Ruben Pedreño taking no prisoners there through turns 9 and 10. I've not seen anyone so far in this session push as hard as that. And in the end, he made a mess of it and invalidated the lap. But, you know, kudos for going for it. He absolutely shoved it into turn 9. And in the end, it did not quite work out as Luke Smith goes quicker again on his second lap on the medium tyre, 102.8. So is that a sign that he doesn't plan on starting the race on them, or is that a sign that he's quite happy to just wear them out if all he wants? I'm not too sure, but there you go. He goes quicker still.
Well, I think if he pops on a set of softs, no doubt I think he will go quicker. Obviously, we know the deficits between the compounds. Soft do have a greater advantage. Obviously, being the softer tyre can get extra grip heading into the corners, so we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I'm surprised that he would want to wear too much of the tyres there as Christian Sendel, his teammate, goes ahead of him. Half a tenth of a second, virtually separating the pair, and they go ahead and an Alfa Romeo lockout at the top end, and I'm sure they'll love to see that. Freddie Vasseur is going to be delighted with those sorts of numbers, Andy.
Yeah, first it was Alpine, now it's Alfa Romeo at the top of the order. Janakenshi, by the way, is out there. The man that was quickest of all in the first part of qualifying from his teammate Nomsy is now out there on the medium tyre. So let's see what he can do then, because I think it's fair to say if you're quickest in Q1, you know, people start to take some attention towards your efforts, and I think that's what we'll do, George, and we'll get an eye on how he's looking today. And if he can go quickest of all here, he becomes one of the favourites for pole, you have to say, because then you know he's hooked up round here and he's one of the drivers that's looking really confident. Let's see what he does through that middle sector. 43.5, that's very strong from Janakenshi, and this is looking like a really good lap from the Alpine driver who has it all hooked up, and he's been improving bit by bit throughout the season in qualifying. Steady progress up till now, but this is looking like a big leap forward in performance as Janakenshi rounds the final corner, heads for the line, and he does go quickest of all with a 102.627. The new marker has been laid down on the medium tyres by Janakenshi.
Certainly has been, certainly transferring or carrying over the confidence from Q1 in brilliant fashion. Well done, Janakenshi. Felipe Souza coming around the final corner at Red Bull Mobile Curve, really starting to push pedal to the metal. Round that final corner, comes across the line. P7 is all he can muster. Floris Fears, another another one out on a lap as well in the Haas. The tenacious Dutchman now looking to try and make his way through the next left once again. He's, of course, on the soft tyres. There's only one place Floris Viers is going to want to pop this car, and that is on top spot. He's got to do it against those on the mediums as he lets fly down towards the rim curve. Can he send it as he makes it around this next right-hander? Hightails around that section now, down through the Red Bull Mobile curve, letting fly here. Floris Viers comes across the line. Will he take P1? P6 is all he can muster. Wow, that only impresses me on what Chanakinchi can do. Medium tyres on pole, and he's ahead of about 4 guys on soft tyres. That's good going from Chanakinchi.
Yeah, it's a great lap from Chanakinchi. Credit to him. Tom Martinez is now out there and pushing hard, looking to see what he can do to try and continue this rich vein of form that he's in. Can he put his car into the next part of qualifying? He's on the medium tyre. It's going to be an uphill struggle for him, but here he goes then. Let's see what that middle sector's looking like. If he can get it underneath a 43, he's got a really good chance of it. What's it going to be through the middle sector? 43.8. That's a little bit quicker than what Floris Viers managed. This could be enough to put him into the top 4 here for Tom Martinez. So let's see if he can keep it all together and move that Ferrari above OMG's Joe as he now rounds the final corner. Can Tom Martinez continue that rich vein of form he's in league racing at the minute towards the line? What's it going to be? It's 6th quickest, a fraction slower than 5th and 4th. There is literally nothing between 4th, 5th and 6th.
It might be the case. Incredible stuff. I mean, that's exactly what we want to see. But as the time ticks down now, Andy, I mean, what does Tom Martinez do? Does he box, wait to see what the others do? Dylan Warren currently out on a lap as well, making his way round through towards the Roche Bend. Of course, you don't really want to be gambling too much here in Q2, but of course, if you're lucky, you might get that P11 spot if you do get evicted from Q2, but we will have to wait and see. Dylan Warren, of course, one of the other feisty characters in the world of this, in World Online Racing, certainly one of the true taskmasters, one of the young pretenders to the throne where it comes to league racing, as we're now seeing Dylan Warren come across the line himself. P10 is all he can muster on a medium set of tyres, and Louis Welch, according to you, is on a flight, and he certainly is. P2 is what he's got, Andy.
Wow, I just saw his middle sector at Max Chanakinchi, and as soon as I said that, I thought, oh my god, he's going to be very, very quick here. And once again, for the 2nd week in a row, the 3rd week in a row perhaps even, Louis Welch very quick on the medium tyre in Q2, and that should see him through, and that puts him in a very strong position going into the race. Great job there from Louis Welch, no doubt about it. 102.9 is going to be the cut-off here, and I think those that have done a low 0.9 are in a good position, as who improved there was that Lenny Pipinta going up to 5th place on a 102.8. So that's a good lap. He should be safe with that. Who is going to be safe out of those on a 102.9 though, George? That's the question.
It certainly is, and we've got Thomas Harvey out and about as well. Now he's starting to get into crunch time. Ruben Pedreño, obviously a lot of these guys now on cool-down laps. Felipe Souza is now out on an out lap as well. He's donning a fresh set of medium tyres. Not many of them want to touch the softs, Andy. This is really intriguing. Not many of them going out on the soft compounded tyre. Dylan Warren out on fresh mediums. So is Antoine Desilewski. He's still in the pit bay, but fresh mediums are strapped to the car. As well as looking further up, we've got plenty of others as well, but Felipe Souza out on an out lap. Fresh medium tyres. They're obviously not feeling the softs right now.
Yeah, they're really not feeling the softs at all, are they? So we'll have to see how it pans out, but I do think the 102.9 will be the cut-off, and I actually think the likes of Tom Martinez and John Evans might be okay just by doing a slightly lower 102.9 than some of the others out there. We'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. I'm really looking forward to it. Ruben Pedreño is now out there on a lap on the medium tyre, and this could really shake things up in the battle to get into the next part of qualifying. What is Ruben Pedreño doing through the middle sector? The quickest we've seen so far is a 43.5. What does he do? 43.7 through the middle sector. So this is looking good to see him through into the next part of qualifying. It should be around a 102.8, which should get him through if he can just hook up the final couple of corners. Currently 15th and heading out of qualifying. Is that about to change for the Spaniard as Ruben Pedreño makes his way around the final corner? Where does he go? He goes 4th quickest on a 102.7. Solid final sector. Brilliant final sector, in fact.
That is very impressive, Andy, but he has crucially got 4 laps on that compounder tyre. 4 laps of wear on that compound. That is very, very risky from that man, Ruben Pedreño. That will make a huge difference, certainly when it comes to the strategy in the race. We're going to have to keep our eyes peeled. Obviously, that is dependent on whether he does get into Q3, but the basis of what I can see right now on all those cars currently out on track on medium tyres right now, they're obviously not going to improve that much. It's the ones on the softs you got to worry about. And another man who's out and about on softs is that man, John Evans. He is also strapped on a pair of softs. Tom Martinez fancies to go on the softs now as well. Floris Fiers also on a fresh set of softs, but yet to leave the garage. They're leaving it all till the last minute. Will they get out in time? That's the question. Dylan Warren now coming around the final corner. What can he do? Can he himself land a huge blow here as he comes across the line? P12 is all he can muster. Really struggling, Dylan Warren right now. It's not gone his way.
Yeah, Souza and Warren in a lot of trouble there. Souza did not manage to improve in his previous lap. Dylan Warren invalidated, and if he didn't invalidate, he might have got himself through. So those guys are under quite a bit of pressure. They might need to try and recharge the battery and go for it on the same set of tyres. So Dylan Warren, Felipe Souza, odds stacked against them to get into the next part of qualifying. Thomas Harvey is out there. Antoine Desaluski's crossing the line. We'll need to keep an eye on them, as well as Floris Fiers, who's leaving it very, very late to do his lap. What's Thomas Harvey looking like from the first sector? It's a 15.7 for him. Let's see what the middle sector is like. You need to be around a 43.8 to give yourself a chance. Anything under that, and you're looking pretty good. How is Thomas Harvey looking through that middle sector? 41, 42, 43.5. Wow, this is looking very good then for Thomas Harvey. He's leaving it the best till last. This could be threatening the top of the order. The likes of Chanakinchi, the likes of Louis Welsh. What can Thomas Harvey do as he flings the charging Red Bull at its home circuit into the final 2 corners? Surely he's picking a place in Q3, and he puts it in style. 102.587. Take a bow, Thomas Harvey.
That is absolutely brilliant from Thomas Harvey. We said it before. He is one to watch, and he's not the only one who's out on the lap as well. Floris Fiers also out and about as well. Tom Martinez making his way down towards Slosh Gold as well. They're all in tandem. We're going to be seeing a flurry of lap times head their way through now. Chanakinchi is on a fresh set of softs as well. He's not content with the medium tyre, as we're now watching Floris Fiers now head through the next left. This, of course, being the Roche curve. Big lap now for Floris Fiers. Needs to get something in the hoop now. A 43 is certainly what he nailed. Whatever it was, I'm not quite sure, but he's making his way down.
He's flying.
He's absolutely flying, so that's good news for Floris Fiers. Now around the Vin curve. Can he hold on now around the Red Bull Mobile? Crucial lap now from Floris Fiers as he makes his way towards the line. It's going to be P3 is what he garners, and that sends him up. Tom Martinez into the wall, Andy. Into the wall, Tom Martinez.
He was flying, George. He did a 43.5. It was easily going to be top 3 for Tom Martinez, and he's flung it away in the final corner. Disaster, agony for the race winner last time out. That was certainly going to put him through. OMG is Joe crossing the line. He is out. Tom Martinez is out. HX4K can still improve and knock Antoine Desaluski out, but it needs to be a very good lap, and it's a very, very, very good middle sector. And are both Red Bulls rising to the occasion at their home circuit at the end of qualifying? Thomas Harvey, 102.587. Can John Evans clamber out to the bottom 5 and move himself up towards the top of the order? Here he goes to the line. He does. He goes quick as the ball. It's bye-bye, Antoine Desaluski. Hello, Red Bull Racing. They're very quick here in Austria.
Yeah, incredible stat here so far. 2 Alpines nestled in the top 2 in Q1 this time. It's the Raging Bulls. It's HX4K and Thomas Harvey who lit at the top end. Incredible stuff here in Q2. And HX4K, Johnny Evans, is lighting up top spot at 102.513. Very nearly a whole 1/10 of a second quicker than his teammate Thomas Harvey. The track evolution obviously coming into the fray towards the end of this session, and he got the very best of it as well, utilising those softs to the best of his ability, and that gives him a great opportunity now heading into Q3. Starting on that soft compounder tyre will certainly benefit him from the get-go. The Red Bulls, as long as they can get a masterclass in Q3, get both their cars at the top order, you'd fancy them to go well. HX4K, Johnny Evans in P1 here in Q2, Thomas Harvey's teammate in P2, China Kinchi in P3, Flores Viers P4, Lewis Welch P5, Christian Sendel in P6, Ruben Pedreño P7, Luke Smith P8, Nomsy P9, Lenny Papinta in P10, Antoine Desilewski is out in P11, and Johannan out in P12, and you got Martinez who crashed out P13, Warren 14th, and Felipe Souza P15th position. But that is all she wrote, folks, in Q2. We're going to be heading into Q3 now, but a very fascinating qualifying session. Probably one of the most competitive sessions we've seen this season here, Andy.
You took the words out of my mouth, George. I was going to say it's the most enjoyable session I've watched so far this season. So close. We said at the top of the show, didn't we? It was going to be close around the track this short, but I'm really enjoying it. Very, very tight, fine margins, and the Red Bull driver sticking a set of softs on at the end and knocking a few of the heavy hitters out of qualifying. So here we go then. Top 10 shootout. Get your comments in the chats. Get your predictions in there. Who are we saying is going to get this pole position? George, to you first. Who are you going for?
Ooh, well, I have to say, it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go with Chana Kinchi. I quite fancy what he's done. I think that performance in Q1 was very telling. I thought it was very, very, very well done indeed. Obviously, in that early showing, that is when you need to be at your best. When obviously the track is not up to optimal temperatures. Obviously, it's very hard to get underway from the get-go at that early stage. And I thought Chana Kinchi adopted, or certainly adapted himself to this field and this track very well, very early on. I think he can cope in high-pressured situations. I think very much this is a grid that suits him. I think he's going to be a huge danger in this session. How about yourself?
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. He's looked on top form since the opening lap of this weekend here in qualifying, and I think he's the man to beat. I really do think he's the man to beat. Some heavy hitters out. Jake Benham is apparently, by the way, doing a last the first challenge for his YouTube. Whether that's true or not, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Cookie's trying it too. He's just said in the chat, last to first OP, in my opinion, overpowered, of course. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to try it too. Let's see. But yeah, it's looking really good for the likes of Chana Kinchi. Flores Viers, I think, is going to be another contender. Ruben Pedreño, we know he's got pace. Lenny Papinta too. But I'm going to go with Chana Kinchi, George. I think he's just got that little bit more pace and a little bit of confidence, a little bit of swagger around this racetrack this afternoon.
He certainly does, and I'm sure like him, like many in this field here in Q3, they're all going to want to light things up as the Red Bull now scoots along towards turn 1, heading around the famous Niki Lauda curve where you can invalidate, and certainly HX4K, very untidy there. Is that an invalidation there, Andy?
No, it's not. It is not for HX4K. He got away with it, so let's have a look then at how the rest of the lap is shaping up for him then as he makes his way up to the top of the hill. Didn't quite see the sector time, but we'll have a better idea how he's looking as he makes his way through. And I think he has backed out of it. Looks like he's going really slow. Yeah, he has backed right out of it. So it didn't invalidate, but it wasn't the tidiest of laps, as you say, untidy. Louis Welsh, meanwhile, has invalidated. Nomsy, though, is out there, and he is not invalidated. So he's pushing on as he now makes his way up towards that second sector. 15-6 through the first sector. Not too sure what we should be expecting on softs up to sector 2, but let's have a little look then as Nomsy breaks that timing beam now, and it's a 43.5. It's not the most spectacular on the soft compound tyre at this stage, so it might be the top time for now when he crosses the line, but I can't imagine it being the quickest time for long.
No, absolutely. As he makes his way around the Ring curve now, let's see what he nails. At least the first time, or one of the first times on the board here today. Ruben Pedreño going first for the 102.595. That is brilliant. They've actually matched blow to blow. Incredible stuff. Nomsy goes ahead of him by what can only be a millionth of a second or something like that at 102. And Lenny Papinta trumps the pair as well, in by, within about 100th of a second. That's incredible from Lenny Papinta. But Nomsy and Pedreño matching blow for blow with HX4. John Evans in P4 after that little scrappy starter lap. Christian Sendel out as well, crosses the line. Is he going to set a good time? No, that's an invalidation from him as well. Chana Kinchi coming across the line too as he makes his way through. He invalidated as well. Luke Smith heading around turn 1 as well. He's going to be the next one to set a proper flying lap. Let's keep an eye on Luke Smith.
Yeah, so Luke Smith then, he's on a hot lap, but also Ruben Pedreño going for a second run, George, and he's only 5,000s down on his previous base, and he can make up a very, very small amount of time. It will be enough to put him back ahead of Lenny Papinta. So what can Ruben Pedreño do then round the final couple of corners? Is he going to edge himself back in front of Lenny Papinta? He is, with a fantastic final sector. 102.4. Ruben Pedreño goes back to the top as we wait on the time from Luke Smith.
Yeah, breaks away, gets himself up at the top end, and obviously him and Nomsy were tied blow for blow, but not this time. Pedreño sets his wheels in motion, gets himself on top spot. Luke Smith as well, who made a little mistake before now, and he has had to back out of his lap after heading around Remus Curve and getting it all wrong. And certainly he's going to have to go again. Chanakinchi currently out and about as well. He's making his way into the pit lane. Thomas Harvey will very shortly be making his way around too. He's currently, I believe, on a slow lap. No, I think he's on a quick one. He bursts in onto the left-hand side, cuts through ring curve, down through the Red Bull Mobile. Big chance here for Thomas Harvey, who, if you remember, was lighting things up before as he heads up towards the line. P4 is what he gets, a 102.639, and that is a whole near... Well, in fact, it will be over 2/10 slower, within 2/10, of Ruben Pedreño. But it's getting very tight at the top, and I get the feeling the tension is starting to simmer into a few of these drivers.
Yeah, it is, George. Gotta say, I'm really surprised. I thought we'd be destroying these lap times already, right down into the low 1 minute 2s by now. But no, they're not. Just building their way back in. Maybe the track not at the optimum temperature at the minute. The driver's just getting back up to speed after that little break between sections. Floris Fears is out there, and let's see what he can do. Not the most spectacular first sector. Second sector is pretty good though, 43.4. I'd say it's the best second sector we've seen so far from anyone out there. So Floris Fears then making his way up towards turns 9 and 10. Flinging the Haas car in is the Dutchman, and into the final corner he goes. Is it going to be enough to dislodge Ruben Pedreño with 6.5 minutes to go in Q3? Yes, it is, by 3,000ths of a second. Floris Fears goes quickest of all, and there is nothing separating these guys at the top. So close, so competitive, and so enjoyable, George.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis Welch will look to do the same. He's out to the flying lap, coming out of the Remus curve, hugging the inside line, heading down the stretch in between turns 3 and 4 as he heads down towards the next 100 slosh goal, braking just after the 100 meter board, and very tidy, I have to say, out of turn 4, and heading around turn 5 now into turn 6 at the Roche curve, makes his way around it now, hugging that inset feather in the throttle. This is a very confident lap here from Lewis Welch at 43.4 in the middle sector. Incredible stuff as he makes his way down through towards the next right-hander, and certainly very shortly he's going to be flinging it around the Rin curve, and has done so brilliantly down into the Red Bull Mobile curve now. This is going to be a flyer from Lewis Welch. Can he nail top spot? Comes across the line. No, P6 is all he can get. Must have lost a little bit of time in the final sector. He was looking quick in the middle.
Yeah, it must have been an awful final sector for Louis Welch. She was the quickest of all through the first sector. Lost a little bit of time, but still held up at a 43.4 in the middle. So perhaps he's running a little bit less downforce than some of the others out there, George. That's going to be my only explanation, because his lap looked pretty tidy, and it just wasn't to be for Louis Welch. But Nomsy is out there on a hot lap too, as is Chanakinchi behind him on the road. But Nomsy will be first to see the checkered flag. So the guys that were quickest of all in Q1 on the soft tyres now trying to show what they can do here towards the end of Q3. Nomsy then through the middle sector. He's done a 43.5. Chanakinchi behind him on the road. We'll wait to see what he can do. But here comes Nomsy at the minute. He's backed out. He has invalidated his lap, so it's not going to work for him. Chanakinchi then 43.5 was what his teammate did. Oh, it's a 43.3 from Chanakinchi. Myself and George Morgan's tip for pole position might be about to show his exactly wiser tip, because here he comes through turns 9 and 10. Could he be the first man into the 1 minute 2's 0.3? Here comes Chanakinchi, the Turkish driver, looking for some Turkish delight, and he's only gone 4th quickest. A poor final sector for Chanakinchi, and he's down in 4th.
Yeah, he's not the first one to have a poor final sector. I think Chanakinchi might have got it a little bit wrong through turn 1, heading off to finishing that lap now. Lenny Papinta himself trying to make his moves as well, heading around the final bend. He is, of course, not going to be going quicker on this lap time now. And the next man who is going to set, I think, the next fastest lap, maybe HX4K. Nomsy is back out on the lap as well. Let's keep an eye on this man. Is he going to box again? He has gone slower in sector 2 by a very, very small fraction, but he's making his way into the final sector. Is this another slow lap here from Nomsy? We'll have to wait and see. HX4K is also out and about too, but we're going to ride on board with Nomsy heading through the ring curve now, powering through now down towards the Red Bull Mobile curve. Can he improve here as he comes up across the line? DRS open here from the Alpine. Comes up towards the line. P3 is what he gets. A 102.484 and 100th of a second slower than Ruben Pedreño.
Yeah, so HX4K, John Evans finding a little bit of time in his previous best through the first sector, but let's see what he can do for the second sector. He'll need to find a lot of time, of course, because he's only got a 13.8 so far. That looked a little bit squirrely at the rear end coming out of turn 4, so this does not look like the perfect lap from HX4K. Will the timings say different to the body language of the car? It's a 43.5, it's solid. Let's see what it can do. Can he move up the order and maybe into the top 5 or 6 places? It's going to be very, very tough. We've got less than a tenth covering the top 5 cars in this incredible qualifying session. HX4K going to try and join that club, losing the rear end out the final corner. Scruffy lap, but he still finds the time to go up into 4th place. And boy, oh boy, George, there must be more time in that Red Bull.
Oh, he had the car out on the rails, didn't he, Andy? Absolutely amazing stuff from HX4K. John Evans literally trying to land everything he could on that lap. But that's not a bad one to set, certainly. But we have got just under 2.5 minutes left to go in this session. That is all we've got, folks. And Thomas Harvey looking to pull off another masterclass or at least some wizardry like we saw in Q2. Can he do it again as he makes his way down towards turn 4? Of course, it's Slosh Gold now hugging into the next left, and he's very slowly but surely trying to just neck his way through this next right-hander now and powers through, down through now towards the Roche Bend. Let's right on board here with this man, Thomas Harvey, now as he tries to push the throttle, push the car through this next left-hander. Now we're into the final 2 minutes of qualifying now, folks. It's never been so paramount. Oh, he's done on a slow lap. That's an invalidation, Andy. I'm pretty sure it is. Not good from Thomas Harvey. He's got to go again. He has no choice.
Yeah, we're going to see some really good laps from Ruben Pedreño and maybe even Christian Sendel as well in a few moments' time. But Ruben Pedreño, the quickest of the pair, and the man, he's done a 43.4 up to the second sector. Ruben Pedreño then making his way towards the final couple of corners. Can he dislodge Flores Viers? There's only 3,000s between them at the minute. Pedreño for the line. He does it by a fraction. 102.4. We now wait for Christian Sendel. He goes to the line and he goes up to 6th place. And we have now got 7 cars within a tenth of a second. Wow.
Certainly is. Wow, indeed, Andy. Lewis Welch as well out on a lap 2. Luke Smith, I believe, is out too. Oh, Lewis Welch on a slow down, not happy with whatever he said as well. Luke Smith just coming out to the first corner and making his way up towards Remus Bend. He has got Chanakinchi, I think, hot on his heels, as well as Nomsey, who's also out on an outlap. Chanakinchi does not want to be held up by his teammate, but might get a good, useful tow heading out to this next right-hander at Remus as they head down towards the next right now. As we watch them head down towards Slosh Gold, Chanakinchi, this could be a very crucial one. Thomas Harvey making his way around the circuit as well. Give us an update on that one, Andy.
He's absolutely flying, George. It's looking like it could be pole position here for Thomas Harvey. What a mighty... Oh, he's ruined the lap at the final corner. It was the quickest middle sector we'd seen by anyone so far, and the lap is gone, George.
Oh, and just saying that, Chanakinchi is spun, heading out of the Roche Bend as well, so he's not going to be able to improve at all. Not good at all for him. Luke Smith, though, heading down through the next sector. Nomsey is also out on an outlap. He's going to be one of the last complete Flores Fears as well, trying to power through now as he makes his way through the next left. He's gone 3/10 slower in the middle sector. He's not going to improve, I don't think. Looking further down, Nomsey starting his hot lap, flying though right now to Louis Welch as well, coming through into the next left. He is currently a 10th slower heading out of sector 1 as he now makes his way through the next left. He's got no choice but to continue though as he heads through the next left again at Verth Curve this time, heading through the next right-hander. What can the Ferrari do as he makes his way down towards the next right? I think he might be on another slow one, Andy. It's certainly not going well for the Ferraris right now.
It's all over, George. I think the rains came down and everyone was invalidated in their laps, and Ruben Pedreño is going to be on pole position here with that lap, and nobody out there is improving. They're either in the pits or they've retired or they've invalidated, and Ruben Pedreño with that 102.4 towards the end of that hectic qualifying session has secured pole position. George, what a wild session. What a qualifying session. That was brilliant.
Incredible. I don't think any of us quite predicted. We saw the rain clouds coming over, but I did not think it would lead to raindrops in the late stage of qualifying. But incredible to say the least. And I got to say credit to all these drivers for laying everything out on the line. But brilliant to say the least. That's exactly the sort of action we were hoping to see. But Ruben Pedreño, he's on pole for the race. Incredible stuff indeed for the Williams. Certainly serving them with absolutely no doubt at all. Incredible stuff indeed to land a pole time of 102.402. Flores Viers back in rude health, up into P2, joining Ruben Pedreño on the front row of the grid. He is in second place for Haas. Nomsey in P3 with HX4K. That's John Evans in fourth spot. He has a good chance of getting his best result this season as well. Luke Smith in P5, Christian Sendel, Akinci, Pepinta, Louis Welch and Thomas Harvey. They round off the grid order. But what an incredible firecracker of a finish to that session. Rain came tumbling down, but I have to say, a lot of cars were left tumbling through the final echelons of that session. It got very, very harem-scarum towards the end. Could the weather be a very prudent factor in this race here tonight, Andy?
Don't know, Josh. What a session. That's probably the best qualifying session I've had the pleasure of commentating on, George. It really was. It was epic from start to finish. And I've got to apologise, George. I hate cutting across when someone's in their stride in commentary, but I've got to keep feeding you this info because it was nuts. We had Thomas Harvey on a flying lap there, and in the end he invalidated it in the last corner. He starts 10th. He could easily have been in the top 2 or 3 places there. It's absolutely wild. The laps were coming in thick and fast. And, you know, because I'm able to just jump through all the buttons and look at all the drivers really quickly because it doesn't affect the broadcast, I was getting all this information and I just had to tell you, it was wild. But yeah, what a race we've got coming up here. So close between the drivers, George. Really looking forward to it. And I can't really pick a winner. Ruben Pedreño on pole. George, I'm going to do what I did in Bahrain. I'm going to get back in the fence.
Why are we? I'm not putting the splinters out for you this time, my friend. But I have to say, brilliant stuff. But no, we haven't yet factored in, obviously, those who actually exited out of Q1. If you remember as well, Jake Benham and the likes of, you've got Cookie as well, who was very, very quick in Suzuka. Not to mention others like Jeffrey Ritchie, Felipe Souza. What could he be like? JST as well. VRT Josh did not set a lap either, so we'll have to wait and see what they can do. Ruben Pedreño, though, one of the best performances, I think, in his league racing career. P1 in WOR. That's a huge statement for him. What about Floris Fiers as well? Former F1 esports contender for Haas. He is back in the Haas here today. Second on the grid. Not bad at all. I want to hear from you at home as well, folks. Please land up your comments in the live chat. Who do you think is going to win tonight's Austrian Grand Prix here at WOR? Andy, any thoughts from yourself?
Yeah, here's a thought. Tom Martinez, the only driver in the field, George, on the hard compound of tyre. Well. I wonder what he's got up his sleeve. Hard tyres for Tom Martinez going against the grain. Now, does that indicate maybe some rain later on, perhaps? Not too sure. We'll have to wait and see. But as you can see, everyone else outside the top 10 with free tyre choice has gone for a fresh set of mediums. So yeah, there's so much to look forward to in this race. Very tight between the drivers at the front. You've got the likes of Jake Benham and Cookie coming through from the back. Going to try and do something wild this afternoon. Anything can happen, George, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a cracking race.
It certainly is. Ruben Pedreño with an excellent opportunity. Medium tyres is what he starts on. He's going to need a great getaway ahead of Floris Fiers as they head around the final corner. Nomsy in behind as well, also on mediums, but John Evans on 4th place. Soft tyres as well. What if he gets a good jump off the line? We've got a very, very interesting dynamic. Most medium tyres ahead of softs. Incredible stuff indeed. Final comments from you, Andy. Who's winning this race?
I'm on the fence, mate. I'm on the fence. I don't know. I do not know who's going to win this race. I honestly don't have a clue. So I'm on the fence, mate.
Well, we will certainly find out very soon, folks. Please leave your comments in the live chat, folks, here for the WOR Austrian Grand Prix. Major comments here. Luke Wilby's gone for JKB. Shuey saying, let's put on a show, lads. We certainly will see a show, that's for sure. Here come the lights. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the 5th light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go. And the lights certainly not wasting any time. And already we're seeing Ruben Pedreño shoots off into turn 1 and leads the way in dynamic fashion in mind as well. Nomsy moves his way up into P2. Johnny Evans, HX4K up in P3 as well with Luke Smith and Christian Sendel. The 2 alphas coming together as well. Christian Sendel sending it up down the inside as well. He's sendling it. And look at Johnny Evans, HX4K on the soft tyres. Let's him fly here at Nomsy. Brilliant from the Raging Bull. Lands himself up into 2nd place. Incoming now, Floris Fiers down the inside as well. And what looks to be, no, that's not Floris Fiers. That is the 2 alphas. Luke Smith and Christian Sentinel battling for their lives, Andy. What a start to this race.
Wild stuff at the start of the Grand Prix. Ruben Pedreño getting the start he needed. Meanwhile, down at McLaren, it was a bit of a disaster. Not quite following in the footsteps of the team today in real life Formula 1. Both of them coming together at the exit of turn 1, and they are in trouble. Jay is also off down at the back of the field. The 3 of them might need a pit stop, but Ruben Pedreño leads this race, and it's the perfect start. HX4K getting his elbows out as well, as it's all happening in the middle of the pack.
Certainly is. Just look at that, 3 wide, heading into this bend now into turn 1 as we're now watching them all hightail through. Lewis Welch cutting ahead there of Thomas Harvey. What a move there from the Ferrari. The Tifosi will be going absolutely ballistic. An incredible manoeuvre. It was all a hustle and tussle. Dynamic move here Thomas Harvey as well decides to take a chunk out of that Scuderia as they power now out of Remus. Louis Welch, stern defending, brilliant defending, holds on here in Austria. Incredible start to this race.
Oh, it's absolutely wild stuff. Look at that. Look at the two Haas cars, the two Alphas, and Chanakinchi all coming together down at turn 4. Chanakinchi off and into the gravel and all the way down to 18th place. 2 into 1 usually doesn't go there, let alone 3. And Chanakinchi drops to the rear of the field. Minus the 2 McLarens.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake Benham. Look at Jake Benham up into P10 after a mighty drive from the get-go. He is absolutely flying right now and loving life in behind QBR Cookie. Also rising to the fences as well, getting himself up into P12. HX4K nails a fastest lap and scratch that. Antoine Desalewski comes in with a 105.660. Sensational stuff indeed. Further up as well, you can see there Thomas Harvey making his way through the field, trying to at least try and garner anything he can on Lewis Welch. But how about Lewis Welch though, Andy? He's had a great start, lots of battling, and managed to fight against the best of them.
Yeah, well, great starts from a number of drivers. Jake Benham up 8, Antoine Desalewski up 6, OMG at Shoe up 4, Dylan Warren up 5. All sorts of drama at the start of this Grand Prix, and they're all now beginning to settle into their rhythms in the midfield, and it's looking pretty racy in there. The likes of Thomas Harvey, OMG's Joe, really close for comfort as well. But what a start to this Grand Prix. 3 laps into the 36. I'm looking forward to it, George. It's been a brilliant start to this Grand Prix. Let's see how it all pans out, but you've got to hand it to Jake Benham, up to 10th already, and looking pretty strong on those fresh tyres.
He certainly is. He is absolutely flying right now and loving life. He's behind Dylan Warren, and that's not a bad place to be either. Jake Benham, do not write him off. I have to say, he's a Veloce signing for a reason. He has got the tenacity, the ability, the absolute aggression, and the brilliance along with it in order to try and cultivate a positive result. Remember, he is your current championship leader. 70 points on the nose here for Jake Benham. But what an exit! Heading out of the Niki Lauda curve, and he's going to come up alongside Dylan Warren as they now poleaxe their way up towards the Remus curve, and the Mercedes has done the business. Nothing Dylan Warren can do about that. The Williams has to bow down to the Mercedes supremacy. That is Jake Benham, the All-Star, strikes again, Andy.
Got to say, this is even a better start than Jake Benham predicted to this Grand Prix. I don't think he could have scripted it better. What a start. He's up to 9th already. He started 20th, remember. We're only 4 laps into this Grand Prix and 11 places have been made up, and he's only a couple of seconds off the lead of the Grand Prix. Unbelievable stuff from him as Ruben Pedreño continues to leave no signs of him pulling away from the likes of John Evans and Nomsey. They're all very closely together in the top 7 or 8 cars. Nobody above a second until you get down to Chanakinchi in 16th. Very close, as we anticipated.
Yep, certainly is. Andy Babinta also fancying a go with Dylan Warren as well as they make their way down the stretch. QVR Cookie, who of course himself as well, garnering lots of places in his own right as well, doing something very similar to Jake Benham. Oh, Flores Fears, a 3-second time penalty. That is not useful at all, but look at the exit again from QVR Cookie, who is certainly going to try, I'd imagine, and have a go here at Lenny Papinta. Has a look down the inside, not this time. He's going to be a little patient heading through this Remus bend here at turn 3. He's going to come out though. He might get a chance. Thomas Harvey also trying to get close this time to Lewis Welch. But have a look at the padman Lewis Welch. Antoine Desalewski going defensive, but that is not going to worry Lewis Welch though. But look at this exit from Thomas Harvey. Brilliant from Thomas Harvey as they make their way into the next left. They're going to keep battling Lewis Welch wheel to wheel as they come through towards the Verth curve. Brilliant from Lewis Welch. Hold on, Thomas Harvey left frustrated this time, but credit to Lewis Welch. Another step bit of defending, but here comes Joe Hannon this time.
Incredible stuff. Wow, look at that. That's so close to the turns 9 and 10. And Joe Hannon bugs him off and gets himself through and up into 7th place. No prisoners around this track. Unseen by us on camera. Antoine Desalewski in the middle sector got himself ahead of Flores Fears as well. So things going from bad to worse after that penalty for Flores Fears. Desalewski up into 4th place. What a start from outside the top 10 for him as well as they all make their way up the hill. And we've got a change of position for the lead of this Grand Prix. John Evans sweeping past Ruben Pedreño at the top of the hill and moves into the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix here in WOR. What about Nomsey now? He fancies his chances of making it double trouble for Ruben Pedreño. He won't quite be close enough by the time they reach the breaking point at turn 4.
Yeah, electrifying start here as well. Jake Benham flying up in a P8. Gets past Thomas Harvey. He's on a prosaic rise right now. The Mercedes flying. The All-Star Jake Benham. Oh my word, we've lost one. We've lost one. Oh, battle for second place. Pedreño going toe-to-toe with Nomsey. Nomsey in the Alpine flying through as well. Safety car,
yeah.
Andy.
Yeah, safety car deployed. It must have been because of Luke Smith retiring from this Grand Prix. That was incredible stuff. And what timing for that safety car, because Pedreño and Nomsey were going at it like crazy through turns 5, 6 and 7. And we have got pit stops aplenty here. All sorts of drivers into the pits, changing tyres. Let's see, some on softs, some on mediums. What do they go on to now? Surely Hards to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard tyres onto HX4K's car in the Red Bull. He's having to wait a little bit because of the certainly the traffic in the pit lane is so much right now that this could really upset the balance in this race for HX4K. Who's ahead of him? Antoine Desilewski and Ruben Pedreño have jumped him in the pit stop, Andy. How crucial is that?
Well, that is very, very crucial. That is absolutely massive in this race. Antoine Desilewski climbing up through the order, and now a net P2. This is incredible. And what does this mean for Tom Martinez going long on the hard compound tyre? Does this hurt him? I would probably say it will. Let's wait and see how it goes, because he's one of the only drivers out there. Well, he is the only driver out there that started this race on a set of hard compound tyres. Will it come to him later on? Remains to be seen, because these guys on hards are going to go a lot longer into this race, or to the end of this race, than they would have initially, George. So this is going to throw a curveball at some of these drivers trying to make these hards last to the end.
Yeah, we've had a bit of an incident there. QBR Cookie getting a 5-second time penalty for an incident involving him and Tom Martinez, a collision of sorts we have heard. So that's going to be certainly something to look at. I'm not quite sure to how extreme the damage is, but the game has seen it that he ought to be given a time penalty for that incident. So as we're now watching now, Tom Martinez bailing into the pit lane. So, well, what does that mean? Will he be donning the medium tyres? He'll have to switch to a different compound in order to get to the end of this race. We'll have to wait and see. But Andy, not a good start for Tom Martinez.
Disaster. I thought he might have stayed out and tried to stick with it and hope for another safety car later on. As it is, he's going to have to change to a different set entirely. He's been made to wait in the box. What's he going to put on it? It looks like softs for Tom Martinez. I think he's just going to stick these on and come straight back in the pits in a lap's time and put a set of hards back on. That's all I can see him doing from here, unless he thinks he can go soft mediums to the end. Let's see. But I thought it might have been worth sticking with it in the hope of another safety car to have much fresher tyres than some of the others out there. But no, he's come in, soft tyres. Will he try and stay out on these softs or come straight back into the pits on the next lap? Remains to be seen. If he sticks with it, two-stop strategy, it might be worth it, George. We'll wait and see. Yeah,
interesting to note that only the top 4 have older tyres on. Can you see that? 7-lap old mediums for the top 4. Everyone else on a fresh compounded tyre. So that's another interesting dynamic in this race. The way that we're currently sitting right now, Ruben Pedreño is in the best position possible. And looking further down as well, we have Antoine Desilewski, HX4K, OMG It's Joe. Everyone down to Christian Sendel on that hard compounded tyre. The safety car is back in this lap. Nomsey is going to be the one leading them around this track. It's very key now for Tom Martinez. He needs to put those softs to work. If he does it now, it is probably better sooner rather than later to cut through this field. He needs to make sure he gets the most out of that compound, or whether he decides to pit again, I'm not so sure. It would prove to be very, very pointless at this stage with the safety car boxing. He may as well stay out and pray for another safety car, Andy, as we're now watching Nomsey make their way down through towards the next right-hander. In behind, you've got QBR Cookie as well. They're all queued up here. Now the safety car is effectively Nomsey as they come around the final corner, and this time they're going to put pedal to the metal for the second time in this Grand Prix. Cookie in behind as well as they make their way down towards turn 1. Antoine Desilewski out on his tail in behind as well. You can just see there Ruben Pedreño, who is just ahead, certainly leading this contingent that have all pitted on the hard tyres. Here comes Antoine. Can he get a move done into the Rebus curve? Goes long and deep into the next round and stops and chooses against it. Has to lock in behind Ruben Pedreño. No move could be made. HX4K locked in behind him as well. OMG It's Joe got a rapid start though, Andy.
Yeah, he did get a great start. Antoine Desilewski really got the best between his teeth. He fancies his chances of winning from outside the top 10 here, and that would have been a crucial move had he made it stick on Ruben Pedreño. Ruben having absolutely none of it though, braking extremely late into that corner, and he holds on to that position. We've got a yellow flag. Chana Kinchi off again, and after a great qualifying again, his race undone, and it's becoming a season to forget for Chana Kinchi at the minute. But this is going to be a vital part of the Grand Prix. How quickly and who can navigate their way through the top 4 on medium tyres the quickest, that will decide who can win this race, I think. So Ruben Pedreño has got it all to lose. Everyone behind him has a lot to gain.
They certainly do as they make their way up towards the first corner again at Niki Lauda curve. All of them in tandem right now. And certainly it's the calm before the storm once again. What an incredible start to this race. Obviously a shame to lose Luke Smith that ended up being the first safety car of the race. Hopefully the only one as we're now seeing. Look at that. Lewis Welch looking all kinds of dangerous in behind that man. OMG, it's Joe as they power out of turn 3. Heading down towards Slosh Gold yet again. The AlphaTauri can see it behind the scooter rear Ferrari. That's watching on it behind the 2 Italian constructors and that are going to duel it out here, certainly for that battle for 8th position. Lewis Welch, I have to say, Andy, he is looking very, very dangerous right now.
Yeah, look at all those drivers, by the way, that came into the pits on that lap, George, and fitted the set of medium tyres. Did they think that the safety car was going to stay out a little bit longer and go back onto hards on that lap? Or do they just think they can catch all these guys on the hard tyres because it's such a slow tyre? Remains to be seen, but they're a full pit stop behind. We've effectively got 2 races going on here.
We have indeed. It's literally I'm not sure what you can call it, but like you said, I suppose 2 races applied. Jeffrey Ritchie has decided to box now as well. That certainly is going to go against him because remember, he was under the safety car holding on to those medium tyres, and now, again, he is now going to have to box this time after the safety car where everyone has made their final stops, you would think as well. Jeffrey Ritchie now donning a set of the hard tyres now, but as they make their way around Remus, still leading the way is Nomsy. In behind you can see QBR Cookie, who's brought himself right into the fray, but remember he is also on an older set of tyres as Ruben Pedreño is now starting to close the gap on VRT Josh. Ruben Pedreño looking like the force to be reckoned with here, but look at HX4K as well. He is absolutely flying.
Yeah, he is. He's absolutely flying. It's a really big moment in the race for Ruben Pedreño. He just needs to bide his time behind these guys on mediums. The ideal situation is that they all jump out of the way, George, and come into the pits, but there's no sign of them doing that in the minute. They might now be forced to do that to cover from Jeffrey Ritchie, who pitted on that previous lap. So let's wait and see if any of them do decide to cover that off. They do not, and they carry on their merry way, praying for a safety car. So Ruben Pedreño is, of course, your net leader here from Antoine Desilewski, John Evans, and OMG, it's Joe with a return to form at the minute. Louis Welsh and Jake Benham looking pretty racy there as well, and he'll fancy his chances of making a move. He's gone wide. He's gone very wide. He's off the track, and now Forrest Fears is going to get alongside and go past Jake Benham. Well, a rare error from Jake Benham, and Forrest Fears says thank you very much. Switch back from Jake Benham, trying to get back through, and Forrest Fears can't do that, and the Dutchman takes the place. Rare error from the youngster, and through he goes Forrest up into 9th place.
Yeah, he might not be the only one as well, because look at this man as well, Thomas Harvey sending it down the inside. Oh my word, he left it late. A late break and clipping the rear end of the Haas of Flores Fears heading around Slosh Gold. That was absolutely massive, and Jake Benham himself says thank you very much, he says, and moves up into 10th place. Look at that, Thomas Harvey must have suffered some severe wing damage there, Andy.
No doubt about it. I was on board with Jake Benham when it happened. Bits of carbon fibre flying up. I almost ducked away from the screen at the sight of it, George. And that is going to be a brand new front wing for Thomas Harvey, and a chance of a good result gone for Thomas Harvey as well. But the guys in the medium tyres at the minute out front, George, appear to be holding steady and holding the likes of Ruben, Antoine and HX4K quite easily at the minute. And in fact, QBR Cookie is getting really close to Nomsy. He fancies a move as Thomas Harvey retires. As up the inside goes Cookie. No way through on Nomsy.
No, that could be massive. Thomas Harvey being a DNF now at this point in time. What does that mean? We'll have to wait and see. Is that going to be a safety car? That is the big question. No yellow flag, no VSC. They're all continuing as normal. I'm not sure quite what happened, but still Nomsy leads. I'm just looking now on the table here, Andy, looking at those top drivers. Now you can see that Ruben Pedreño is closing the gap. It's now proving to say that Nomsy, Cookie and Josh, they're in very deep trouble right now, because they're going to have to box very soon for another set of tyres. Now the big question is, are they going to try and take the mediums deep as possible into this race in order to then set on a set of softs, or will they have to box for hards? No questions asked. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but it's going to be very tight.
I don't know what they're going to do, but Ruben Pedreño, he's in trouble now. He's just picked up a 3-second time penalty, and he's basically handed the net lead to Antoine Desilewski on a plate. So Ruben Pedreño with a time penalty in that middle sector. Disaster for him, and that is not at all what he was looking for when he had the race victory in the palm of his hand. So Ruben Pedreño in trouble. Not too sure what the front three are going to do, George, because they've basically surrendered a position to Jeffrey Ritchie, who bailed out of that quite early on after the safety car. stuck a set of hards on, so they're probably going to be behind them. As here comes Nomsy now, he's going for the lead, or Cookie and Nomsy battling away, side by side into turn 4. Who's going to win the battle? Nomsy at the minute, Cookie not giving it up as they go side by side at the minute, through turn 4 into 5, but Nomsy retains the lead for now. Cookie right behind him though, what a battle.
Yeah, we've also lost Thomas Harvey and Dylan Warren as well, and as you can see, as we're now riding on board with Ruben Pedreño, he's trying to close the gap on all these cars ahead. Of course, VRT Josh being one of them, currently in P3 as they rise down into the ring curve. Now the Williams is eyeing every possible manoeuvre at his disposal as they come around the final corner and head down the straight now. Yellow flags raised in Sector 3 yet again. Loads of penalties have been dished out in this race. It's absolutely tremendous efforts around from a lot of drivers here today, but obviously the action has been nothing short of exquisite as we now see a slow Dylan Warren. That is very dangerous there, heading down the stretch. Once again we see a battle for the lead. Nomsy down the outside of QVR Cookie yet again. These two are really dueling it out here, Andy.
Yeah, they really are. They're just costing each other time though and putting more damage on their tyres. If they are indeed, as you suggested, George, going to try and stretch this out to stick a set of softs on, they're not doing either of the races any good, and they're just putting more pressure on themselves, because the last thing they need is a train of about 8 cars on hard tyres coming through and passing them, because that would just lose them even more time, as we have got a safety car, and now those guys are in a fantastic position to change tyres. It all turns round, they took the gamble, and what a position they're in now.
Yeah,
wow.
Do you know what though? It's really upset Tom Martinez again, because remember, he's on medium tyres. And so again, that's going to really put him in a bit of a predicament. We're going to have a look at the tyre lives now, folks. And I've got to say, you look at it on paper, Tom Martinez has got to box again. I can only imagine, though, he can box onto softs. The big question is, does he choose to stay out? That is the big question. He is not close enough, though. He won't benefit, I don't think, out of those who are coming in for the pit stop phase. But there you can see Anton Desilewski leading the way. No point the top 3 boxing, or top 4, should I say. Jake Benham has risen to P4. Good opportunity for him. HX4K in P2. OMG is Joe. No penalties in the top 4. Good opportunity for Pedreño to serve his penalty and at least try and get rid of some of that time delta. Yeah. But looking further back, I have to say, one of the biggest heavy hitters could be Lewis Welch. Keep an eye on him towards the end of this race, because they could take those mediums right to the end. A lot of question marks though, Andy. I can see the top 4, or should I say the top 6, perfectly taking those hard tyres to the end. I have to tell you, I don't know which way it's going to go.
I think the right decision was to pit. I really do. Even if you were on the going to the end on hards already, I think the right decision was to pit. I really do. Ruben Pedreño is in a fantastic position now on those fresh mediums. Nomsy and Josh, interestingly, pitted and put fresh hards on, so they're also in quite a good position. I really do believe the pit stop was maybe the right move to make. 8 lap old hards. They're going to have to take them so far into this race, George. Nearly 30 laps. So yeah, it's quite a conundrum. I'm not actually sure what the best thing was to do, but I do think pitting was the right decision. Pedreño's actually only lost 3 places. He was 4th before the safety car came out. He's now 7th. So has he really lost out? I'm not too sure he has.
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, I'm not quite sure at this moment in time. Naturally, the way the classification is dished out. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously pitting helps regardless, because I think naturally you're going to get an improvement. You're going to get a new set of tyres, more grip. And that's just the physics behind it, I suppose. But looking at it on the track, I think the biggest fascinating story of this race so far, Jake Benham up into P4, effectively trying to pull off a last to first of sorts after getting evicted from Q1. Remember, he did not set a fast time to get out of Q1. Remember, he decided to retire. So what would this mean? This would be an incredible effort if he can pull that off. And we got plenty of other Cinderella stories. What if John Evans was able to take a P1 here today? Obviously, one of the unfortunate ones who has seen a lot of action, a lot of drama as well. Incredible stuff to watch. I have to say, lots of opportunities for everybody here to make a name for themselves. Lewis Welch as well. What it would mean to see the man on the pad successfully achieve something here today. I cannot believe what we're seeing. It's going to be a truly firecracker finale. And I got to say, I'll start a postcard, folks. I want to hear from you at home. Tell me who you think's going to win this race, because me and Andy don't have a clue.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence, George. I am still on the fence. I don't know what's going to happen. But what a story we have here. Antoine Desilewski from 11th on the grid could win this race. OMG's Joe returned to form up in 3rd place. Jake Benham from the back. They're all on the 9-lap old hards. Everyone else, fresh tyres. Well, everyone down to 11th on fresh tyres, and then the rest after that on old tyres. I take it they all pitted and fitted tyres and they ran out of tyres, I don't know. But here we are, lap 17, almost at half race distance with the 2 safety cars and we're about to get back going again. What a race we have got going on here.
Absolutely, Anton Desilewski now the effective safety car. We hit pedal to the metal for the third time in this Austrian Grand Prix, and it's Anton Desilewski who leads him into turn 1 in the Aston Martin as he powers his way through turn 1 in the Lauda curve and does find his way through, at least in the lead for now. In behind you got HX4K hunting on the rear. All-Star Jake Benham though looking for a move here, heading into Rima's curve, opens up the door down the inside. Joanna tries to shut the door, but the black arrow of the Mercedes letting fly in the AlphaTauri, wheel to wheel now. Here comes Jake Benham as they power down towards Losh Gold, not letting any stone go unturned. In comes the Mercedes now. The All-Star going wheel to wheel with Joe Hannon. These young pretenders trying to fight it out, but Benham's on top. Brilliant Benham heads around the next left, this time at Roche Bend. Sensational overtake, Andy.
I don't know where to look at the minute, Josh, but a big move just behind that. Ruben Pedreño on the medium has cleared Josh. He's got one of them already, and Louis Welch is desperate to try and get through as well because he's within 3 seconds of Ruben Pedreño, who has a 3-second time belt to remember. Ruben Pedreño lost the rear. He's round and out of contention, losing the rear at turn 9. Ruben Pedreño out of contention, pretty much out of this race. Disaster for him.
Yes, and OMG, it's Joe is not done yet. He's all over Nomsy. Nomsy, who's managed to break away. He's managed to fight his way into P4. Sensational stuff from the Alpine. Jake Benham up into P3. Nomsy's not done yet though. Has a look on Jake Benham, who immediately goes defensive, locking up the tyres. The glowing brake discs heading into the Remus curve. Incredible as they exit out of turn 3, down into turn 4 very shortly. Anton Desilewski out on top. HX4K in P2. In behind Nomsy, hunting all over the rear of the All-Star Jake Benham. The Veloce Saini, who has been brilliant this season, championship leader material. Last to first is on the table, Andy.
Nomsy can win this race, no doubt about it. Two lap old hard tyres, right decision in the pit stops, and he's put the hard tyres on. He's got 9 laps fresher tyres than the 3 in front of him. He's negotiated the traffic better than the others so far. He's got himself ahead of OMG's Joe. We've seen Ruben Pedreño spin out of contention. We've seen Josh struggle a little bit. We've seen Louis Welch struggle. He's not made the progress yet. And it's looking like Nomsy, if anyone, is going to be the man to challenge these guys on the older hard tyres. We're on lap 20 out of 36. We've got 16 laps to go. Can Nomsy make it work on these fresh hard tyres? It remains to be seen. It's going to be tough because it's going to be a DRS train and it will not be easy. But Nomsy senses a chance at a famous victory here.
He could well do, I have to say. He's got the quick tyres on, certainly given the youth that they have.
Oh, look at him go.
But look at him now, what an exit out of turn 3, and Jake Benham knows he's in trouble. You can see him there, squirming all over the front of the Alpine. Diving manoeuvre in the inside of Slosh Gold. Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant from the Alpine. Excellence in abundance. The Alpine strikes up into P3. Benham could do no more, but watch the Alpine fly past him down the inside. A well, beautifully positioned attacking manoeuvre there from Nomsy, who really wowed the spectators in qualifying, and he's back again in the race with a brilliant strategy and is flying in P3 as well. Sensational stuff, Andy, and he's got HX4K next on his list.
Absolutely clinical from Nomsy. He put some manners there on Jake Benham. 9 lap fresher tyres or not. That was beautiful. That was excellent from the youngster. That is how you do it. And he's now moving on to John Evans and Antoine Desilewski. He is not hanging around here. He sensed as an opportunity and a famous win here in WOR. Closing in now on the back of Desilewski and John Evans. Wonderful exit once again. Coming out of turn 3. And now he's going to run on HX4K. Is he going to do the exact same thing on this lap? No, he's not going to be close enough, and HX4K, with the benefit of the DRS, will cling on to that position, and in fact he fancies his chances of getting closer to Desilewski, but it's a poor exit from John Evans, and here comes Nomsy right round the outside of HX4K. He goes, he'll never get it done through there, and John Evans holds on for now, but Nomsy has got the bit between his teeth and he's pushing up all the way through turns 7 and 8 down towards 9 and 10, looking left, looking right. Is he going to get a move done? Still, HX4K stands firm, but George, you've got a feeling it's just a matter of time before he gets through.
I think he smells blood, Andy. Nomsy can smell it a mile off. The gazelle, the lion is hunting the gazelle. The raging bull is a quiet bull right now. It's looking a little tired. It's looking a little weary. Nomsy himself now looking on board now, watching either side to see if there's an opportunity to overtake HX4K, also known as Johnny Evans, who he himself has had a tremendous race. Christian Sendel moves ahead of Josh, heading up into P8, but look at this there, DRS opens up, Nomsy is in the slipstream, Elaine moving the offing, Johnny Evans hunting down the inside, Elaine break, oh my word, in comes Louis Welsh as well, hunting down the inside of Joe Hannon. What a race, Andy, an absolute spectacle here in Austria.
Oh, Nomsy on the inside of John Evans, going for the move through turn 5 and 6. That was brave, he couldn't quite find a way through. Nomsy, just be careful, my man, careful, careful. You've got time to make these moves. Don't be rash. When you've got the chance, when it's clinical like it was on Benham, go for it, take it. But a couple of times he just slithered up the inside of John Evans when perhaps it was a bit of a risk, but he's still okay for the moment, keeping the car in control, keeping it in third place. This is a fascinating race. It's all been turned inside out and upside down by these safety cars, and Nomsy really does feel that he's got an opportunity to win this race. He's got a clear pace advantage. Remember, Alex Albon in 2020 had a pace advantage. He ended up having a crash. Nomsy needs to avoid that as John Evans goes down the inside on Antoine Desilewski and takes the lead away, and now Nomsy will be attacking Desilewski instead of John Evans, who's determined to put a car between he and Nomsy. But Desilewski coming back, having a look round the outside. John Evans covers that off, and there's no way through. Josh, this is sensational.
Yeah, we've lost Chanakinchi as well. He's DNF from the session, yellow flags in Sector 3. But in all the drama, what a race this has been here in WOR. A sensation here in Austria. A pleasure to watch. Anton Desilewski in behind HX4K now, getting so close to the rear of the Red Bull yet again. Then going wheel to wheel, tussle to tussle, nose to tail, coming down through the next right-hander. Sensational nevertheless as they round the final corner. You can see Nomsy behind. 14 years of age he is, Andy. 14 years of age. In comes Anton Desilewski, having a look down the inside of HX4K into turn 1. What a race we have in prospect. Drama. It's absolutely, it's infectious, Andy. Infectious.
It really is. It's absolutely brilliant. Nomsy really, really close this time. Antoine Desilewski down the inside of HX4K. Nomsy with a double toe. Desilewski back through. He's going to get caught underneath here though. And Nomsy, wow, very careful, Nomsy. Don't stick your nose in there. And in the end, contact comes, and it's as they were before they entered the corner. Unbelievable. It's still John Evans. Nomsy on the inside of Desilewski. Is he through? It's very, very close on the exit. Now with the extra traction, the extra grip, and those newer hard tyres, he should have the line to get through, and still he cannot do it. Unbelievable stuff. What defending from John Evans and Antoine Desilewski to keep this man behind, but surely they can't keep it up for another 12 laps, George. That would be a monumental task.
I'm smelling race of the season here, Andy. Race of the season. It just goes to show how much these drivers are putting on the line at this Austrian Grand Prix. Points there on the table. Even Jake Benham is in the mix. In behind, you can see Jeffrey Ritchie's come from absolutely nowhere to come into the fight. Nomsy himself now smells blood again. Anton Desilewski flies down the inside of turn 1. And here comes Nomsy. Wow, what an extract from turn 1. Nomsy going for a double overtake for the lead of the race. Sensational maneuver. Oh my word, there's a chaos in mind as well. Here comes Jake Benham as well. Amazing, amazing from Jake Benham. Up into P3, Jeffrey Ritchie up into P4. HX4K suffering in this race, Andy.
Oh, well, that's absolutely incredible. I'm going to give you some analysis on that in a minute, but look at this battle. It's absolutely incredible. Jeffrey Ritchie now up to 4th place. In behind that is anybody's guess who's going to be 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's still John Evans from Christian Sendel, Felipe Souza, and Larry Pipinter as we finally reach a single file part of the racetrack. But I've got to say, Nomsy, 14 years of age, he looked like the most mature man out there. Absolutely brilliant. Waited and waited and waited, bided his time for the moment to arrive, and then when it did arrive, Desilewski went too deep, and there the opportunity was to just cut straight underneath them, and it's a double overtake to give him the lead at this Grand Prix on the freshest tyres of all. Nomsy with 10 laps to go, on for a famous win in WOR.
Yeah, 14 years of age, Andy. I'm going to say it again, 14 years of age, and he's got the bottle, certainly to try and garner everything possible. He is so brave, so tenacious for that age in this league, in this race. In comes Jake Benham again, trying to find his way through. Wowee, incredible stuff from all these guys. HX4K himself now in the mix again. Christian Sendel making it ascend this time. He's going to sendel it round the outside here of HX4K as they come through Slosh Gold. The outer line here this time for Christian Sendel. Johnny Evans going wheel to wheel, bashing wheels in fact, coming into the next left. Oh, Christian Sendel take a bow. An excellent maneuver yet again. This race is absolutely bamboozling, Andy.
It's been brilliant. It has been absolutely brilliant. Move after move after move. The qualifying was brilliant. The race has somehow managed to eclipse it. This is eclipsing the Italian Grand Prix this afternoon. And we said that would be tough to beat. But here we are. We have beaten it. Unbelievable. Look at Jeffrey Ritchie now. He's closing in on the back of Jake Benham. And he fancies a move on him. Wow, this is absolutely awesome stuff. Jeffrey Ritchie then through the first corner. He does have a time penalty, of course, though. It has to be said. So if he does get past these guys, it might be a struggle to stay there. Let's see what happens as they reach the biggie boy at the top of the hill. Behind that, Felipe Souza is making a move on HX4K, who's going backwards and backwards very, very quickly. And that's another place he's lost because Felipe Souza makes it past John Evans and up into 6th place. Action everywhere you look, lap after lap after lap, George.
Yeah, and in comes Felipe Souza. He wants to roll the dice as well. He goes on the outside line here on HX4K. Switch back in the offing. He can't quite get it as they come out of Slosh Gold. Or have I spoken too soon? As they make their way down into the next left. He's still got some traction on the outside of the hard tyres, but no from Lenny Papinta. The Aston Martin can't find a way through. He had HX4K right in front of him there. The opportunity was certainly there to be taken, but he could not unleash it. But how about this race? HX4K, though, not gone to plan. He looked in a great position to do well in this race, but it just wasn't to be. Still Nomsy leads, though. An excellent drive from this youngster. Anton Desilewski not far away from him, but look at that. The all-star Jake Benham, he's also in the fray.
It's absolutely awesome stuff. And look at Lenny Papinta here again, having another look at the back of HX4K, who's been going backwards quickly. Oh, switching to the inside onto the grass goes Lenny Papinta. And that was very late manoeuvre there. And he tried it. The switch back was in a dangerous manoeuvre to attempt. And they come together, but thankfully no more than a quick brush. And they're back underway and racing again. We should also mention, fair play to Desilewski and Benham. How are they still clinging on to the back of Nomsy on 9-lap older tyres? This is incredible.
It's hard to even, I just can't, you've got to get someone to translate it for me, because I still can't.
From that point of view, but you know, all the fiasco about giving the esports drivers a build and blah, 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 blah. We don't want to go there again. We've had that one. But you know, some of the drivers pulled out.